It's a beautiful day to blaze some good. A beautiful day to blaze some good. Would you be kind? Please light mine. ride. Beans and Greens podcast being broadcasted across Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. So anybody watching, what up? It's been a few days or a little bit, but since the last podcast, but you know, it's time to get that back going on a more regular basis. So that's what it is. Today is movie discussion. As far as talking about movies and basically breaking down how the movie can be, you can see how effects or certain things in these movies that are actually happening in real life. So today is going to be a good one. We're going to go over Demolition Man. So that's going to be a little bit of a discussion with Demolition Man. And there's so many things that you can see is happening in society today that was in the movie, and this movie was it 80s, like 80s and 90s. These guys was like it was Sylvester Stallone and the Wesley Snipes, and then I believe this one was before Blade. So I mean, these were both of these guys. Rocky. Sylvester Stallone was not at the top of his game, but he was still pushing. So and then of course Wesley, it was like a long run where he was definitely at the top. Not at the very top. There were a few because consistently you still had like Denzel, and I'm talking about as far as like black actors and stuff. At that time you still had the same sort of similar now. As far as like the legacy actors, they were basically what was happening. So it wasn't just literally one. There was a few going on, and that was actually ones that weren't as noted more so then than now. But yeah, that was a good time for everything. I mean, I really probably should stop using that kind of a state because it's all a good time. I mean, all the political upheaval and social upheaval, that shit was going on 80s, 90s too, 60s, 70s. So yeah, it's all good. I'm not even going front in that regards. But one thing I kind of do want to talk about before I get started, if you go through all of my content, a lot of this stuff you see, a lot of the artwork, some of the animated stuff on there. You know what I mean? That's I use the AI generator. So, oh yeah, real quick. Not sure of the herbs, but I'm gonna find out the name. I should know, but it is pretty good. It's not. How can I say the effects? The last bag I had, I wish I still had some of that to review because that one was just a fucking dome punch. It's like bop, you're high. This one is mellow. You still stoned. But it doesn't grab you as the last bag, but very much so worth it. Plus, I got my usual Nescafe, and I made one of my what I call now honey bear bombs, which is basically honey candy, which it's not hard candy, but it can be eaten like a hard candy. But you can drop it into some tea, some coffee, oatmeal, all of that, and it'll melt, and then boom. So mine is enhanced. I did mess up this batch. I actually burnt it, so and I couldn't just get rid of it because it's poured money into it. So this month's honey bear bomb is going to be a little bit on the burnt side, but but not just to go back to what I was talking about before, because I did have one of, so I believe it's a subscriber, which is mad cool. Really wasn't happy about me using my AI character to do a review for the new Megadeth music, which I don't understand why, but but my point being is, well, I do understand. Let me back up. It's not about it's not about why I don't understand, because what it is, I don't understand why you don't see what I'm doing as opposed to the reason. Now, the whole thing is you have a lot of people out there that are making fakes and doing. I mean, it's just some much stuff is egregious, and even like Suno, that is one of the worst things. I've been some of the content on my channel is guitar related. It's me playing guitar. So shit, I saw the thing that got me into playing was the first time I saw the Guns N' Roses video "Sweet Child of Mine." Like, never wanted to play guitar before that, but the minute I saw that video, I was like, bam, I want to play guitar. That was like 13. Next year, I had a guitar. And for the first year, I really wasn't that good. But I kept steady strumming along. Then 15, I moved, well, no, it was around 14, around the time that I got the guitar, maybe a year later, I moved to Florida. Met this cat. He showed me a power chord, an E chord, and showed me how to read tablature. And every goddamn day, I was with the guitar in my hand, a tab book, music, and I was just, you know what I mean? And like, I've always had issues with like putting bands together. I always had, like, I come across situations, and I mean, always. I remember I met this one drummer down here. It was actually a band that I was trying out for, and the stuff was a little tricky, so I hadn't heard it before. So when I got there, it was just, okay, you showed me the stuff. So it took me a few minutes to get into it, but I guess it really wasn't good enough for the other guitar players. So and that was cool, because they were really like trying to bite off a specific sound, and the sound or the band that they were biting off of I liked, but I didn't want to be them. But the drummer was mad cool, so we actually jammed together outside of the actual band and shit, and we jammed. It was sounding pretty good, but he had his band, then he had family, shit, and there's another time we moved back to New York for a little bit. I had to practice a big crate. It wasn't big, but it was big. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a little practice amp, but it was one of those ones that was, it was kind of big for a small practice amp. And living in Brooklyn, there was a death metal band that had tryouts, and they were in Queens. So, and this is another one of those situations where, the music was tricky, so it just took me a second to really get it. You know what I mean? Because this is New York death metal. So, just go back and listen to Suffocation. That's no easy feat to learn. You're really, you're really going for it. You know what I'm saying? All kinds of notes and the time changes, and just it's not simple shit. So, okay, I need a few minutes. I am, at least in my opinion, I mean, I got the riff, so I guess, but in my opinion, I am good enough to play this stuff. But they had another cat there, and he was, I don't know why, or I guess they maybe wouldn't, I don't know. But either way, my point being is, coming through the time, you started seeing these tools pop up, Easy Drummer, Superior Drummer. So, it was now, and this is like, I was like, I'm about to be 49. This was like back when I was like 30, when I started seeing Easy Drummer and Superior Drummer. So now I can write whole songs, fucking guitars. I can slightly play bass, and we were doing it. I actually had videos of that from going way back then, with this one tool. It wasn't an actual drummer, but Now fast forward to now, and this is so funny because before it was a big craze, I came across was this LTX Studio, and I had I had this EDM stuff, Bizarrium. It's on my page, and my idea was I wanted to make some videos for it because this is the stuff I wanted to, like the first stuff I wanted to put out, and I ran across LTX, and it was clips. I was like, bim, I can just create these sort of AI images, sort of crazy weird stuff to go along with the making videos for the music. And LTX wasn't as good as the one I'm currently using, but I mean they may have, but the whole thing was, I can just do all kinds of abstract shit to this music, which is pretty abstract in my mind. So I mean, my mind for what's normally out there, the music is pretty abstract. You know what I mean? So I started doing that. Then I switched to this one I'm currently using, which is clean. And now it's everywhere. Everybody's using this shit. And I've been doing this for almost like 2 years now. But I keep the problem with saying But now the problem is you have two sides of it. You have the ones that are using it to replace productivity. And that's what I'm saying with Suno and going a whole diatribe of the shit without drummers. Because now you could just maybe come up with a riff and say, this is the vibe I want, and Suno will build the whole song. See, I'm not, that's not what I would deem as, or what I would use or want to use the tool. I don't want it to do the shit for me. I want to be able to, you know what I mean? I want to be able to just build it all out however it comes out. And usually, that's the thing that Suno robs the whole process about. Is because when you're writing a song, a lot of times the song kind of writes itself. You know what I mean? It's you start off with a concept and idea, and then so you have like a riff, right? And the riff is, and you're playing it, and you say, okay, I want to do this next, but this doesn't work. And you're just jamming it out, and next thing you know, another riff, and you just play that riff out of nowhere, but that riff works with the first one, and then from there you develop in a whole song. And now, I would prefer jamming in the room with a real drummer, and hopefully, because I'll have a demo and people could listen to it, and then you can say, okay, cool, then let's play. You know what I mean? So that's one good thing about having like all these drum programs and shit. But I can now build a whole song from me, you know what I mean? And I don't have to worry about getting with a drum or anything like that, because there were so many years where I had riffs upon riffs upon riffs, and I had here what I wanted to sound like, what I wanted the drum pattern, you know what I mean, basses, and I think the only thing I really didn't get worked out was how I wanted the vocals to go. But either way, I always had it here. And now with these drum programs, I can flesh it out, and make it reality, as opposed to just something I'm wishing I can do one day. And then now you add in these AI generators, and boom, I can add a whole nother layer of creativity to it. You know what I mean? Because it's not just a matter of, okay, type in, do this and do this and do this. You know what I mean? You can come up with references and create references, especially if you are an artist, and you can upload these references and then have it animate those, which is pretty much kind of a bit of what I do. But anyway, so we go back to the complaint is that I did a review using my AI character, and it's a big baby review to review. It was the new Megadeth songs, and next month I'm gonna do a review on Mike Geronimo. But the thing is, pretty much look at me. You know what I mean? Look at this, right? And then, you see me. I don't know, but that's the character, right? Let me show another picture. See that picture, that person. So what I'm trying to say is that's like my avatar. That's me. You know what I mean? I'm not here trying to create a fake. You know what I'm saying? I really listen to Megadeth. I really listened to metal all my life, pretty much since ever. You know what I'm saying? It was hip hop at first, then it was hip hop and metal. I never stopped listening. It's all good to me. Then it's doing some EDM, all that stuff. So when I put that out there, that was basically just me telling you what I think of this music. You know what I mean? So and I can sit up here with just me like I am now. You know what I mean? And do the review, which is blah. You know what I mean? So this was just a cool way to just take like something like my avatar of me and do the review. And again, the 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 views expressed in that video were were from me. That was me using a what they have like this little voice changer software, right? And it was on the helium setting. You know what I mean? So that was you know what I'm saying? I get it. There's a lot of fakery, but I don't want to use that shit to fake out. You know what I mean? They have these things where you can go and the channel will generate videos for you. It's like you'll get 300,000 views and XXXX, and the channel will go in and or the website will whatever whatever you want. They'll go in and they'll create the all of the dialogue and the video to go with it, and then you just have to just of course pay them and then upload it. And you see those channels out there, but I you know what I mean? I rather just use all this stuff to just create stuff from me. So, everything on this channel is me. You know what I mean? That's why I don't have separate ones for each thing. It's basically a lot of stuff that you see is stuff what I do during the day. So like in an instance, like there's some gaming on here. Shit, I get up in the morning and I have to take this medicine. It sort of keeps me from doing a lot of things because I have to run back and forth to the bathroom. So I'm on the video game pretty much every day. You know what I'm saying? I get up and then I'm cooking. And I've been trying to cook all kinds of exotic shit and shit I seen on the internet and shit I seen all over the cooking channel for years. I never thought about putting it on the internet until like the first one you saw. That's on my page. So again, it's just about a reflection of me. All the music is music I listen to. So I don't know. It's not. I get it. I'm never gonna. For me, it's never gonna be about faking anything or faking anybody out. It's just me using the tools to enhance what I got. So I mean, if you buy my bullshit, then that's cool. If you don't, it's cool too. You know what I mean? But either way, that's just basically an extension of me. Which is kind of funny to say that, but if you look at that picture closely of that character and a picture of me when I was younger, and even a picture of like it looks like three people in my family. You know what I mean? It's like me, younger me, younger my nephew looks like that. Actually, two of them, even my like a younger version of one of my cousins. So I have a bunch of I have like 4 or 5 characters that you see throughout the page, and it's all stuff that's basically me. I have like those little bear characters, Drizzy and Buzzy. That's what I'm saying. The one of it's basically going. Did you know these facts and this that and the other about like the great wonders of the world or shit like that, coming up with different facts. That's me sitting down, fucking going to the internet, you know what I'm saying, blowing some herbs, and just looking at all kinds of, you know what I'm saying, crazy, you know, documentaries about like, you know, the lost tomb of this or Atlantis or, you know, just stuff like that. That's me. And then the other one is basically the same thing, a bear smoking weed, fucking looking at crazy videos and shit. That's me. No, it's just that's what I'm doing, yo. Just so I don't know, man. I can understand with all the fakery, but that's what I'm saying. I'm just not faking you out. I'm just presenting me in different ways. So that's it. That's all I can say. You know what I'm saying? I definitely get it. This is just mad funny because, you know, the video that I created, it's wild because all the shorts get mad views, but the actual long form video doesn't. And I'm trying to get better with that stuff because I recorded all this dialogue, but I have a hard time matching up the dialogue to the face. So there's gonna be a lot of scenes in there where it looks like the kung fu movies with the overdubs. But I'm still working hard to get. I think they should have been more mad at that, if anything. You know what I mean? That's something to be mad about. So I'm just, you know, working to get better at that. You know, and I got some other shit I'm working on, with the AI to present. You know, it's making these images and these animated stuff to present the music. So, you know, if it's a thing that, you know, we hate, you know, unfortunately for us, it ain't going nowhere, and that sucks. That really sucks because, you know, like I said, with the Suno, you know, they're gonna make more of that stuff, and you know, some of the people that you see promoting that stuff, like one was that bass player Mohini Day. Now I heard about her, I would say like last year, and I started watching some things, different videos with her and stuff, and I saw one. It was like a video, like a Drumeo type video, but it was for bass players, and she did Jerry was a race car driver, and it took her 2 minutes to figure that shit. Literally, look it up. It took her 2 minutes to figure that out, and I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not that easy of a song from my understanding. You know, I watched how he actually, and then they're talking about Les Claypool. I'm really watching. Actually, the first time I seen somebody play that was actually a local band, like a cover band from where I used to live in Ocala, and they had the tablature. So I'm seeing how they're doing the he does usually when you do, you know, tapping, you do it a finger at a time. I mean, that's normal. There's where you can do definitely use two fingers at once, but for the most part, what from my time at that time, um, I was still young playing guitar. So when I saw that, you know, especially because it's on the bass, how he's doing the tapping, but then he's doing tapping and he's using two fingers at once, and just all the different hammer on, hammer ons and hammer offs. You know, I was amazed by it. So then fast forward to last year when I saw this, she was like, just listening to it, right, and then it was it was amazing. It was great. You know, Les Claypool stuff is definitely not something to sit there and just be. It's like it's very busy and very note heavy. But then again, it has a different groove to it. But anyway, but then she's promoting Suno. It's you throw money at people, and I mean that's not what I'm about. My thing is using these tools to, like I said, present myself in different ways. So there's that. So now the next thing is I want to go ahead and make the go through this discussion on this the movie. Now one thing just to add aside is at some point, what I want to do is I want to do sort of a reaction, like sort of part two. So do the regular podcast and then do an extended after, where I'm actually looking at the movie that we're talking about and going over it as we're watching it. So I think you can do like a free Patreon type of page. I don't have enough viewers to justify having a pay one, but if it's something where if people want to go and they come and check it out, I'm gonna look into that. So or something like that. So when that becomes available, I'll I'll of course broadcast that. So now the movie I want to talk about is Demolition Man. Now this is crazy because now the blonde hair, that's it, and it was him and Samuel Jackson. You know what I mean? That the blonde hair. Now they weren't the first ones to actually go out and you'll see like a black man with like hair that you would normally see in daily life. I mean, yeah, they go back to Conan with James Earl Jones and the long hair. Yeah, I'm just visualizing that now, and but all right. So I want to bring up something here. Yeah, see, it was like I was mentioning before. There was in that time frame, these different movies that were coming out. You had all the way from the '80s with you have Sylvester Stallone, obviously we're talking about. Then you had one of the big ones, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. They had all these different movies, and what a lot of these movies did was show, in my opinion, a lot of what was about to come in society. Because, like I said, the whole thing about this segment is to go sort of show you the parallels, right? And but they're telling you these things happening, but they're putting this spin of entertainment, action. You know what I mean? Big big explosions and a lot of guns and just all the stuff that really feeds that need, right? Demolition Man was perfect for that. So let me just go over the synopsis. So now we have, I hate their synopsis. It goes with innocent victims caught in the crossfire in Los Angeles, intensifying war and crime. Both cop John Spartan, which is Sylvester Stallone, and violent thug Simon Phoenix, Wesley Snipes, are sentenced to a state of frozen incarceration known as a cryo prison. Okay, so basically you know, uh, Wesley Snipes was this big gangster, and he caused all kinds of havoc. And then, just equally his equal, but on the other side, and caused just as much chaos was John Spartan, Sylvester Stallone. And they had done so much damage to society, and once Sylvester Stallone's character went through a whole bunch of shit and captured Spartan, or Phoenix, sorry, they put Sammy Phoenix into this basically cryo prison. Think like Star Wars, where they basically freeze you, and what it does is you're still alive, but it's basically putting you on ice. You know what I mean? Putting you away till they ready to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? And this was like a prison. They put him in like this. This was like this year's sentence, 36 years in this prison. So on the flip side to that, you have Sylvester Stallone's character, who sort of real gung ho, and Wesley Snipes, knowing that, put these other, basically it was a lot of collateral damage that, Wesley Snipes sort of knowing that Sylvester Stallone would have came in head first, put them in that way, and all these people died. So there was this thing where to get rid of, same thing for Sylvester Stallone's character. Now, Wesley Snipes was let out, but under suspicious circumstances. And the thing about it is by that time, they were able to use this technology to imprint things in your mind. So if they wanted you to be a weapons expert, just imprint it. You know what I'm saying? Now you're a weapons expert. If they want you to know different languages, or they want you to know the layout of the city, they just imprint that in your mind with this technology. So, and there goes first with, all of the different technology companies, especially, let's face it, Google is one of them. I guess what do they call it, psionics or cybernetics? They're really working on that kind of shit where they will be able to, imprint these things in your mind, and this technology in you, and do all kinds of, well, the experiments have been done. So it's not that they're going to experiment on you anymore. Now it's just implement, and it's just a system of control that one can be controlled from a distance. You'll never know. You never know. You never see. If something bad happens, there's no accountability. So that's. I mean, they're literally they. I mean, I guess it's just a matter of basically when they're ready to roll it out, because they already have it. And like I said, they've done all the experimentation on us that they need to do. They're done. There's no more experimentation. It's implementation right now. So anyway, he was imprinted. He meaning Wesley Snipes, Simon Phoenix. He was imprinted with like the layout of the city, and he was imprinted with these directives, and it was basically like the whole proverbial inside job, or if you ever seen what was it, Rush Hour 2, follow the money, follow the rich. Well, in this case, that was the same thing. Now, what's really wild is the person that freed him be I don't know what it is, because if you're on the inside, you're the one running. Because what happened is society was now rebranded, especially this area was remade by, and we're talking about remade, talking in the sense of socially and spiritually goes along with that. I mean, social is that's part of what we are as humans. So, you can definitely control using social means. But he remade the society, socially, technologically, and financially, in sort of the image, or the let me see, in the way that he saw fit. And this goes to my next thing, and I'm not even going to go over the guy's name. Maybe it was the head bad guy. It's not really so much his name is the point. Is the point. It's what he stood for, and it really was the society. It was sort of like this docile, sort of, and sort of like Mayberry style. You know what I mean? Everybody was sort of like all golly gee, and they had these machines that if you cursed, it levied a fine right there at the moment. And it's like, you said a bad word, $20 or whatever bullshit. So it was like a society where you couldn't even, if you were out in public, you couldn't curse. And again, society right now is the internet. Out there barely matters anymore. Everything is here. Society is the internet. That's just background noise if you really think about it. And I say that because a lot of even you think about it, sometimes for a lot of people, you know what I mean. Sometimes you can be on the computer and realize, damn, I haven't been outside, especially if you work from home. I haven't been outside in 2 days. You know what I mean? So right now, we're just basically treating outside as just scenery, not life. So life is here, and it's starting to be so controlled and so manipulated for speech, for thought, and that was the whole point of these machines, and that was the whole point of their self. It's self editing. Because now, you already say, damn, I'm going to get a fine. So I'm going to edit my speech. And if I see you acting out, now it's my duty to now make sure I edit you as well. So that is something that's exactly what goes on the internet. It's like I don't agree. You didn't say what I think you should say. So I want you canceled, or, you know, I mean, even to the point where now they doxing people and shit, and people losing their jobs and losing whatever money just because we don't believe or think what other people say. That's straight out of that movie. That's straight out of the movie. So that that is it's another way to present that idea, because that's something that in a lot of these movies that I talk about in this on the podcast, that's one of the that's central through every movie. And this is a movie, but you see the parallels in society where just, I mean, it's just sort of, you know, going back to what I was talking about in the beginning about that character that I created that was using the AI to the AI character to basically give my review of the music. I'm not talking about the interaction. That was cool. I'm cool with the interaction. I love that shit. Just talking to people, I don't have no problems with that. I don't give a shit if you call me an asshole. I'm still gonna be like, yo, what up? Smelling shitty over here. No, but just the shorts. One of the shorts was a Vic, the character Vic, and he's flicking you off, and it's like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And I put it when I uploaded it. I set it for not kids, but then they did like that 18 plus restriction on there. I guess that's just a sort of further, push the video out of a view of minors, which I thought, if you say not for minors to begin with, but either way, it was just a character flicking off, throwing up the middle finger. And if you think about it, he's just putting a finger up. Obviously, there's meaning to it, but when you can see people being murdered, and you see all the different things going on, negative, you know what I mean? I can't understand why now, even differently, I can't understand from all the years coming up, some of the tenets of the political life is a right to free speech, and art, where we create art, and we don't want to censor art, limit art, because the art is also basically an expression of the artist themselves. That's your thinking. So you suppress art, you're suppressing thought, and then thought and debate. That was something that was, encouraged. And now it's all sort of been depressed, and it's I keep saying I keep hearing myself say it every time I do one of these things. I keep hearing myself say I don't know why, but I'll just keep working on not saying it. But anyway, back to my point. It's almost like if you have an artistic intent in your presentation of whatever information you are, they want they it's now they feel emboldened to go after you if they feel it, and not only it's not even just a matter of they're going, it's how they go after you and what they're doing it for. So it's not just to try to stop you, but then it's also trying to stop the debate through for everybody. If it's something, if it's an idea that's presented or a thought that we all can debate, it's like, no, we can't even debate the idea. So now you're not only just expressing the art, but now you're also expressing thought. And that's a theme that's presented in a lot of these movies, and it's dangerous. It shouldn't be dangerous to express ideas. Even negative ones, like the comedian, and this is something I agree in the sense that he's like, why can't I hate, or why can't you hate me? And in other words, it's like okay, if I don't like you, you know what I mean? That's fine. If you don't like me because my color of my skin, or I'm fat, or my political ideas, or whatever, that's cool. You know what I mean? The hell? Who am I to tell you how to think and feel, or be mad at you because you don't like me? You know what I mean? And that's the same thing, vice versa. I'm the same thing. If I don't like you for whatever, and to be fair, me not liking somebody, I mean, it's never really going to go on those metrics like race, or if a person's fat or anything like that. There are things differently out there, but I just think I had to clarify that for some silly reasons. I don't know, but the whole like I said, the whole concept. If I feel like I have a right to not like you, like your thoughts, like whatever, and you don't have a right to suppress me as much as I don't have. Like the same way, I don't. You can, you know what I mean. You could call me whatever. I don't have to listen to you. So I'm not gonna go back at you. You know what I mean? There's no sense to waste my energy like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's just it's you see this in these movies if you're really watching beyond the explosions, and the cult of personality is a thing, because you're looking at these actors, and these they're revered for being these big strong men, and they have money and they can act in all these different roles. So you're looking at all of the wrong things when you're looking at these movies, and that was the point. Misdirection. It's like, hey, we're gonna tell you what's your future's about, but look at these explosions, look at these people, and we're gonna watch the surface as opposed to diving deep. So that's why I'm saying, with all these different movies, you gotta watch deeper. Now, of course, there always this is movies, this is cinema. So there's an ebb and flow to the action. There's ups and downs, and Wesley Snipes was let out cryo, and I think he tried to destroy the facility, and that's what let, or I think they might have. It's been a while since I've seen it. That's why the segment I was talking about, is important. But either way, Stallone's character gets out. Now he's recruited by the police to go after him, and going through his investigation, and as he progresses through the movie, he comes across this other society, the underground society, right? And this was a society that was, I mean, they were literally, it survived in the sewers, and they were run by Dennis Leary's character. And there were some times where, they would have to get some supplies, they would have to attack facilities above ground. And they're finding out, or Stallone's finding out that, wait a minute, there go what again. But Stallone's character is seeing these attacks going on. He's like, well, wait a minute, these are just people that are just trying to live. They want to eat. They need, they're not really criminals. But now you have, that's another theme, because I mean, it's hard to see, but you can go and just, I mean, as a matter of fact, even just in my area, and I'm just in a little place outside of Tampa, so I'm not gonna say which exact one, but there are towns outside of Tampa, small population, and in my area where I'm at right now, there you do see quite a few homeless people, and we don't have sewers here for them, but I know back in NY, I don't know if they lived in sewers, but more along, it would be the train tunnels. I seen a video of a guy. He lived in like a abandoned tunnel for like 40 years. See, underground societies where people exist outside of normal life, because of whatever the reason, they just really either don't want to or can't survive with the push and pull of everyday life above on the surface. Because everybody knows there's a push and there's a pull, there's an ebb and flow, and it just ebb and flow. You know what I mean? Or I hope you know what I mean. But that's one of the themes. Another theme in the movie, the juxtaposition between the underground and then the surface, where you have your wealthy, and another theme is wealthy's use of enforcement in order to suppress the underground. I mean, Stallone's character sees, is witnessing these attacks by the underground society, and like I said, he's starting to realize that these attacks are not about being a terrorist, they're about eating. These people want to eat. The people want to live good, but not with the constraints of the society that was there. And see, the thing was, the head guy, the one that created the society and the image basically of himself, the main reason for getting Wesley Snipes' character out of cryo prison is so that he can suppress this underground movement and basically kill the leader, which was Dennis Leary, and suppress that movement. That backfired. It's like, aha, asshole. He figured out, because one of the things that was imprinted in Wesley Snipes' character was that he couldn't kill this guy. But Wesley Snipes let out all these other criminals that were also put in this cryogenic cell. They weren't imprinted with that restriction, so he could get one of them to kill this guy. So now, as we're going through the investigation, Stallone gets a partner. Now, this is a character played by Sandra Bullock. Now this goes to the next part. She was very, and she played this out to a T. she was very intrigued by Stallone's character in the movie because the big, strong, no nonsense, um, muscles, the whole package, and he was basically what's called now a misogynist, right? He'd be basically these days, but all the other men weren't like that. It was the very opposite. I mean, I'm not going to use the terms. I can. I don't want to. We know what I'm talking about. It was very much so opposite, and she was very aroused by this type of a guy. So, of course, you're going through this. I mean, just as in real life, that energy connects to people. But in this scenario, because again, changes to the social fabric, when people hook up, it wasn't actual contact. It was through, I guess it's like a virtual reality, which was connected to your body. So what you're seeing visually is not actually happening, but because it's connected to your system, you can actually feel it. So it's a virtual fucking. It basically, you have a virtual sex, and you don't actually touch, but you still bust a nut. Who was that? I'm sorry. That's no fun, really. You know what I mean? That's the same thing as watching porn but busting and jerking yourself. That's but that detachment between men and women, that's something that, again, you see that happening nowadays. And let me rephrase that. It's not even about that it's happening nowadays. That's just how it is. We're so detached that one of the things that may be a solution, at least not so much as to bring people together, but as far as a control method. Because if you have a lot of people with all that backed up into them, you have a lot of very angry people who you can sort of become feral, basically. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just need to bust a nut. So, right? I mean, we're talking human. We're human. But I, what do you know? But that's something else that I said. That's the parallel to what's going on right now in actual life. You know, it's actually going on. The disconnect. We do have like virtual reality stuff, but it's not something where it's connected. Like, or they may have that, just not had rolled it out to the public yet. It's coming, especially the no fucking. That's also coming too. They're making it like, I mean, they had an article talking about, and I forgot what magazine it was, but it's talking about having a boyfriend is embarrassing. Like, you really don't want people to be getting together anymore. I don't know. All I gotta say to that is there's true power in two. Only one, you're half the picture. Two, the full shebang. I don't know. That's why I guess I'm powerless, because I don't have that other half to make it complete. Maybe it doesn't come, maybe ever. 40, about to be 49. But either way, try to be as complete as I can here. You know what I mean? So, anyway, just diatribe, whatever. So, either way, back to the movie. Wesley Snipes was able to get around all of the blocks that was put in his mind, because again, they imprinted Wesley, but they didn't get away. And the thing was, they didn't take away his evil intent, or take away his lust for chaos. All they did was just make sure that he couldn't do it to the person who, who basically who set this whole thing up. So the ending, they, of course, typical movie. He stops Wesley Snipes and the gang, and they killed the main guy and exposed his expose what he was doing, and everything sort of worked out from there. The Sylvester Red Sandra's characters, they actually had regular sex now, and at least implied that they did, and the whole society changed. So that, of course, that's a movie, and one I think, and I think there's such a crazy trick, because if there's like watching like movies from China, like one of the things that I noticed, like Chinese movies, Japanese movies, things like that, is there wasn't always a happy ending, or even if sort of the hero prevailed, it wasn't like a whole victory. So you have was it Hidden Dragon, Crouching Tiger, or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and the main character, he prevails in the end, but his long lost love, the woman he loved all this time, and she dies. I was it? Or I think it was the other way around. I think, yeah, it was Li Mu Bai. He died, and it was the other character, the female. She was in love with him, and throughout time, and instead of at the end of the movie, they both sail off into the sunset. One's dead, the other one has to live the rest of their life with longing of what could have been. I think the fact that if you look at American movies, there's always the happy ending. That's sort of a mental trick, you know what I mean? Because life isn't like that all the time. There isn't always a happy ending. There is positive, but it always comes with negative. So, and we always feel that. But in American movies, you get the negative, but it's overcoming that, and then, the main character riding off in the sunset with everything intact. I think that was sort of a mental trick that disassociate ourselves from thinking that this is reflective of real life, and this is just entertainment. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I know this as a fact, but if you don't see, yourself, you don't see your life in these movies, if you don't see, you necessarily not able to, or most people won't, just as, because not everybody has that conspiratorial mind, you know what I mean? And not saying that that's wrong, but not everybody's looking at it that way. But then again, if you put real shit into it, if you put what we really go through, then you're like, damn. You look around and it's like, holy shit, this is, you know what I mean? And the question has always been asked, do the movies reflect society? Does society reflect the movies, or what birthed the thought for these movies? You know what I mean? And of course, my theory is basically they're telling you what they're going to do in the future by using this grandiose, these grandiose movies with these plots, and supported with like I said, a lot of explosions, and you have these characters that you want to follow and that you've been following, and on one side you have the black guy, and then you have the white guy on the other side, and it's good versus evil. You know what I mean? And this movies like that, movies all throughout that time, 80s. I think there was, and there's definitely a shift to that. 80s, 90s was a progression. There was more. It was taking those ideas, but it was advancing. It was more advanced in technology and how to film these, and a little bit more a step up in the actual concepts. You know what I mean? You go from Demolition Man to Enemy of the State, which, whew, you know what I mean? So you have that gradual things that pulls people in, and then as society goes along, the movies, as you see the social norms change in society, the movies themselves change, and who's in the movies, who's acting, who's the leads, all is reflected in the movie. I mean, I'm not even expound upon that because, again, it can sound a little misogynistic with what obviously know where I'm going. MCU, which, by the way, was only as I understand the term, but I liked a lot of that shit, so I'm not even gonna go into that. You know what I mean? I loved Miss Marvel. I seen there was another YouTuber, another video. I'm gonna check it out. I haven't yet, but it's a reaction video, and it's reacting to the Miss Marvel. I haven't seen anybody react to the show, so that's great to see that. I love that show. I love everything Marvel, so I don't give a shit. Like I said earlier, I have no thing about color or fat or once. I'm sorry. No fat Jedis. I'm a fat guy. I love the whole idea. I want to be a Jedi. I lose weight. I'm trying to lose weight right now. So no fat Jedis. I can say that for sure. And if you know, you know. But other than that, the person was cool. I mean, I didn't dislike the person, but I'm sorry, you're a Jedi. You know what I mean? It ain't even supposed to be like muscular either. It's usually sort of a thin framed person who, and it doesn't matter. Again, we've color. I mean, species. All of that didn't matter. It's just you've never seen a fat Jedi. Sorry, I'm gonna stick to that. No fat Jedis. But other than that, I'm with it all. All of the, see, the problem with a lot of that Marvel stuff was they had the characters, they had the concept. It was just how they presented it. That was the problem, and especially in that time, the supposed MCU. Because I mean, She-Hulk could have been ill. She-Hulk could have been. They did a disservice to that one. The characters was great. The actresses, what do they call them? Actors still call, I don't know. Actress. She was fine. It was just, but Miss Marvel, straight up, episode 1 to the last one, all the way through, great. But anyway, yeah, I just know, man. If anybody watching this, start examining things through a different lens. There's that line from Slipknot. So of their first album, it says you cannot see California through can't see California through Marlon Brando's eyes. I mean, I'm not sure what they're referring to specifically, other than, but I mean the Marlon Brando. But then again, you could always sort of take your own sort of spin on that. You know what I mean? And it's like how you view things. Whose eyes you're using. Obviously, literally you're using your own eyes, but it's like, okay, think about it from a different perspective. You know what I mean? Let's see. Yeah, yeah. Demolition, man. Now it's crazy. Now that I'm looking at the background, because like I said, I do use the the AI generator to help me make the backgrounds and shit like that too. And for some reason they keep messing it up with the switching the beans and greens, but and I'm switching it up every month to a different one. So I'm stuck using this one this month because, of course, it costs money. So after you pay bills, don't have a whole lot of discretionary funds around at the moment. So whatever I can do for the moment, that's what you gotta do. So for this month, beans and greens is greens and beans. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, just to go like now. I'm going to film another video, actual video, just as opposed to doing a live, where I'm going to view the movie and go over the points as I'm viewing it. Um, I don't. Again, I don't have enough subscribers, like I said, in my mind, to justify creating a Patreon that people would actually put their money to subscribe to. I don't have nearly enough content for that as I would like. Plus, again, I would like to have more people, but like I said, I think they can do a free one. So I'm going to look into that, and once I figure that out, I'm going to record. Like I'm just going to watch the movie, and like I said, go over the points. Now there were movies in the previous episodes that I haven't done that for. So what I may do is either do like a video with just doing like a marathon, or even do it on Discord. I'll just play it. I kind of rather doing straight up video so I can record it and just upload it. People could look at it on something. Maybe even X. I'm broadcasting on X as well. So do like because if you go back and look, one of the movies I mentioned was Star Wars. So all three of the episodes with Anakin and he becomes a Darth Vader, super parallels to what's going on in society. So that one, I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. But either way, there's going to be basically a companion episode to the live every time I do one. And like I said, once I figure out where, then from there. So I was gonna do some like 3 different movies on this, but yeah, it's one thing I can say just in summation is not only does the movie or these movies have, like I said, this sort of conspiratorial tone. I don't want the people watching this just to say now I'm looking at these movies for this. Just especially for younger people that have never seen these movies, I'd like for you to just go back and watch this shit. At least it's fun from that perspective. You know what I mean? It was that whole period, like I said, between the 80s and 90s, where it was always trying to one up the last movie, and it was always a battle between Schwarzenegger, Stallone. And then when you put, like I said, you put Wesley Snipes in the midst, and they always had through a period you always had these actors who were like they were big draws to the movie, so that's why you had them in all different roles, and that time frame was great with movies in a sense because the excitement around it. You know what I'm saying? It was of course not having internet as we do now. There was a different way to build that excitement, and it was the media of the time, which TV, radio, you know what I'm saying, newspaper, word of mouth. So that's why it was also easier to develop these sort of main characters who you could put in different movies. And again, like I said, it was sort of like a you could sort of think of it as a race. You know, you could be on the outside betting on these different actors and say, you know, they're going to end up making X amount of money, or this movie's going to be big compared to this guy's movie. And so, I mean, the way they generated buzz about the movie, it seemed a little bit bigger than life now than compared to now for some reason. You know, with what Marvel's doing for Doomsday, with doing the teaser trailers every week, brilliant. It's brilliant because one, it's getting people primed for the upcoming Marvel movies, but then also so many YouTubers and so much content is going to be made. We're gonna do all the promotion for Marvel. Marvel doesn't. They can just half-ass it from now. They can just release drips and drabs, and you know that's what they're. I mean, that's literally what they're doing. So, duh. But they release drips and drabs. We're gonna do the work for them. That's brilliant. But that still pales in comparison. Even it pales in comparison to even going back to what was happening with the last big Avengers movie. Hell, the last Avengers movie was the largeness of or the how big the movie really was doesn't even compare to, say, the first Batman. I remember the first Batman movie theaters were packed. I mean, it was weeks. No, it was weeks before we were able to go see the movie, and there wasn't, it wasn't like you could. I think back then you probably can get like you definitely could get bootlegs. That wasn't you get bootlegs, and then of course certain studios and certain like I think like radio station hosts and like that would get like these copies, but they were specifically for them to view and then promote. You could get those type of things, but that was basically the original pirating. You know what I mean? So there was always a parallel to each society. Now pirating is done computers. That was their way of pirating back then. Like I said, the bootlegs and even now when you get a bootleg that's basically pirated, it's the same thing. You're using a camera, filming it, and then uploading it. So they even had that. So there's a But and you think about it, just I'm saying I experienced it. So I'm talking about from firsthand experience. The the feeling around the release of that first Batman, and I'm talking you had the soundtrack was off the hook, and I mean of course, you had like that Batman from the Batman song from Prince. That was huge. I mean, you could just go back and just do all the research on those times. That's what a lot of people got to do. It's not just watch the movies. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand the feel around that time. You could research and look at news. I mean, I hope they do have that where you can go see like the basically when they would go film people's reactions to the movies back then, because of course we had cameras and the stuff would come up on the news, because they'd have to go by movie theaters and movie theater. Like I said, this is and it was easy for us to have because again, this is when I lived in New York. It's easy for a movie theater to get packed every show. I think that was probably like one of the first movies that I think it was, my mom. This is the first movies that she actually pre-bought tickets, and we had to I remember this. We had to take, and we walked there. Ditmas, I believe it was Ditmas Avenue, and it went all the way past Ocean Avenue to fucking Flatbush area. I'm trying to recall. Because I remember it was a long ass walk. And in New York, you know what I'm saying, you walked. I mean, sometimes you had money for the bus, and that's pretty much reserved for the money for the bus and the train. And well, in that time it was bus for us because I wasn't going to the train by myself, you know. But I was allowed to ride the buses by myself. But that was going to and from school. But other than that, we walked, which, knowing my situations now, is one of the main reasons why I couldn't go back to live in New York. That's like one of the top reasons. Because like I said, there's a time I went back like 2 years ago. I tried to make it because now you can recreationally smoke in New York. It was ridiculous. It was lovely. It was all the things I could imagine because they had dispensaries everywhere. But the hotel I was staying at, this is a hotel. This is downtown Brooklyn, so it's like at the very end, right by the bridge, way down. And now I could go on. They had the closest dispensary was on Fulton Street, and it was, for a normal person, doable. Not for me. I tried it. I made it sort of a quarter of the way and had to turn around. And it's one of those things where, you know, you do something that you know is gonna hurt or just is really hard, and it's like you get to the middle of it and it's like you look back and it's like, damn, I'm so fucked up at this point. I can't make it back to, you know, I can't make it to where I want to go, and it's gonna be just that much more to go back. But you know, you have to make it. It was weird. So me and my cousin, we did actually make it to a dispensary, but you know, it was something that was real quick. We ran in. He grabbed some stuff. I didn't really get myself immersed in dispensaries up there like I would like to, but at some point, you know, I'll head back and I'll have a little bit more paper. And then we're fucking Ubering it. You know what I'm saying? That's yeah. Just the things you go through. Yeah, like I said, just I wish, you know, especially younger generation, go back, watch these movies, you know, watch all of the, I keep going with the you-knows, research just the lore behind the movies and even the times, and you know you'll see it was movies going was fun, but the movies are better now because I'm sorry, that like I showed you that picture of me earlier. It's there at the beginning of you saw me in a wheelchair. That's my issue anyway. But what did I have in my hand? A comic book. So I've been a comic book freak all my life. So that's why I say movies now are better because you have all the comic book movies. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather watch the worst comic book movie than a lot of the shit that we used to have back in the day. You know what I mean? At least some motherfuckers got like powers and, you know, they're fighting against another person with powers. I love all of that shit, from cartoons, comic books. I still watch Dragon Ball Z. You know, I just paid my subscription to Crunchyroll, and I only watch Dragon Ball Z. Waiting for a new Dragon Ball Super. So, yeah, big ass fucking child. Anyway, the day is long, the sun is hot. You might as well smoke if you got some pot. I'm out.